Thanks for joining me to look at the next portion of the DK Smithsonian Gems book, the Definitive Visual Guide. I did one video previous to this on it, and that kind of talks about the format of the book a little bit. So if you want to learn about that, check that out. And I went over the first two gems. Today I'm going to start with sapphires, and I plan to read about sapphires and rubies and sorry, I forgot already, and Spinel. Okay, so the sapphire section starts off with this picture of this beautiful crown, and this is the Stuart sapphire right here. So let's see. So this is a crown of the monarchy in England, and I'm going to take you through here. So these are all diamonds, and then right here we have an octagonal rose cut St. Edward's sapphire. So these are famous stones. That one and the Stuart sapphire down here, which is enormous. And it looks like there's rubies and emeralds as well as pearls. Beautiful pearls. Let's see, and it says that it's a velvet cap with an ermine band, or ermine. I'm not sure how you say that. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, it's going to tell us a little bit about the Stuart sapphire on here. Okay. So it says historians are not sure where the Stuart sapphire came from or of the identity of its first owner. What is certain, however, is that the gem has represented the might of Scotland and its royal family for hundreds of years. The 104 carat oval cut sapphire has a fine blue color and is drilled at one end, indicating that it has been worn in a pendant at some point in its history. It was named after the Stuart monarchs who united England and Scotland under their reign from 1603 to 1714. Before then, there is some evidence that it belonged to the first king of Scotland, Alexander II, and was set into his coronation crown in 1214. So it was passed down through the generations. And it says, historians generally agree that when James II fled England in 1688, bound for France, he took the sapphire with him. And then a century later, the sapphire was back on English soil in the possession of King George III. And by the time George's granddaughter Victoria came to the throne in 1837, the stone had become the centerpiece of the imperial state crown and was used for her coronation a year later. The sapphire took pride of place at the front of the crown until 1909, when it was moved to the back to make way for a stunning newcomer, the Cullinan II, cut from the largest diamond ever found. The Cullinan II and the Stuart sapphire are now joined by a band studded with 8 emeralds, 8 sapphires, and 2 rows of pearls. Then here's a picture of a painting of James I and VI, first King of England and Scotland, portrayed in 1620 by Paul Van Sommer. That's Paulvansomer. And then over here we've got some key dates for the sapphire. There we go. So next we're going to learn what is a sapphire. So In the specifications section, I wanted you to see that its chemical name is aluminum oxide. It comes in most colors. The structure is hexagonal and trigonal. The hardness is 9, which is very hard. Let's see, it's generally cut in round brilliant, oval brilliant, cameo, step cut, slab, or cabochon. And this shows where in the world it is found. So here we go. Both ruby and sapphire are gem varieties of the same mineral, corundum, an aluminum oxide that is next to diamond in hardness. Although commonly thought of as blue, sapphire can also be colorless, green, yellow, orange, violet, and pink, among other hues. Before the end of the 19th century, when geologists realized that sapphires of all colors were the same material, or same mineral, terminology regarding the naming of the gem persisted from medieval times. Green sapphire was called Oriental peridot, and yellow sapphire was Oriental topaz. One of the oldest known stones clearly identified as sapphire is St. Edward's sapphire. It is believed to date from the Anglo-Saxon king Edward the Conqueror's coronet in 1042. Let's see. Okay, so then it talks about fancy sapphires. So with 3 exceptions, modern terminology simply uses the word sapphire, preceded by the color of the stone. For instance, yellow sapphire or green sapphire. 2 exceptions are the rare pink-orange stones that are called padparasha, which is Sanskrit for lotus blossom, and sapphire, that appears blue in daylight and reddish or violet in artificial light, which is called alexandrine or alexandrite sapphire. The 3rd exception is blue sapphire, which is simply called sapphire. Colors other than blue are often referred to as fancy sapphires. Many sapphires, whatever their color, have microscopic inclusions of rutile that produce a star when cut in cabochon. Okay, so I'm looking over here. This thing is huge and amazing. So this necklace was created in 1959. The sapphire was originally set in a choker by Cartier in 1927. The stone hangs from a chain of baguette and round brilliant cut diamonds. And this is the Bismarck sapphire necklace. Okay. Look at that. And then over here are some key pieces of jewelry. So this is a Russian pectoral cross, which was made in Moscow during the second half of the 16th century. It was designed to be worn as a chest ornament. The central sapphire has been carved in the shape of Christ on the cross. I'm sure you'll be able to see that. Let me try to lift up the book a little bit so you can possibly see that. Alright, I don't know if that was helpful or not, but I can give it a shot. Okay, and then over here we have the Logan sapphire, which is a 422.99 carat sapphire from Sri Lanka. It's a flawless stone, is the 2nd largest known sapphire. The large table of the cushion cut shows the naturally perfect interior of the gem, which is set in a brooch surrounded by 20 round brilliant cut diamonds. And over here, we have a Cartier clip brooch. So the Duchess of Windsor revived the popularity of sapphires in the 1950s when she wore this clip. Sapphire is set in white, gold, and platinum, and smaller sapphire cabochons are used for the panther spots. Beautiful. Oh, and here's a picture of a natural rough. Okay, and then on this page we get to look at different cuts and colors of this sapphires, as well as a few other sapphire pieces. So this one is called Colorless Rough. This crystal has the classic corundum prismatic shape with a triangular termination. Colorless sapphire may also be described as white. And then here's some blue sapphire rough. Let's see. It displays a fine, deep blue coloring. It also shows a number of imperfections. Over here, we've got sapphire gravels. So these are uncut sapphires, and they come from Montana. For sheer volume, the U.S. state of Montana is the world's most prolific producers of sapphires. And here's the Padparadscha sapphire. This rare pink-orange variety of sapphire has its own name as opposed to being described by its color. Most Padparadscha comes from Sri Lanka. And over here, we get to take a look at some of the common cuts. So this is an oblong step cut. This is oval cut. This one is mixed cut. It says, skillful cutting reveals the stone's even yellow color, its transparency enhanced by the brilliant cut that accentuates highlights and shadows. And this one is a colorless brilliant cut. This is a synthetic sapphire. And this is it's called Star of Asia. This Burmese gem displays asterism, a star-like pattern seen in some stones when cut and cabochon. It is caused by tiny intersecting inclusions of rutile. Okay, and then we get to see a little bit about Jean Harlow. She accepted William Powell's marriage proposal in 1936, but refused his offer of a diamond ring. She felt that a large star sapphire would better suit her personal style. All right. And then it's got this nice quote from Oscar Wilde: "The sapphire shall be as blue as the great sea." And it's showing an example of a cluster setting. And then this one says Conchita Sapphire Butterfly. So this can be worn as a brooch, a pendant, or clasp. It shows the rainbow of sapphire colors all found in Montana. Most Montana sapphires are heat treated to intensify the original colors. Down here we've got a beautiful flower brooch and sapphire and diamond brooch. This sapphire is 9.32 carats. And then we have a sapphire set ring here, and then a yellow sapphire ring. 49 yellow sapphires set in a square grid pattern. Let's see. Okay, we are moving on to ruby. So this shows the Danish ruby Peru, worn by Queen Ingrid of Denmark circa 1960s. So it looks like that is the tiara, the earrings, the necklace, and the brooch, and the bracelet are made up that Peru in 1960s. And there was a ring added later by Crown Princess Mary. So here's some more information about that. The Danish ruby Peru is a breathtakingly beautiful set of jewelry with a royal pedigree that stretches back over 200 years. Its story begins with the coronation of Napoleon I in 1804. To ensure that this was a spectacular occasion, he gave all his marshals funds to buy new jewelry for their ladies. Among them was Jean Bernadotte, who commissioned the Peru for his wife, Desiree Clary. Both were commoners at this point, but Bernadotte was later elected heir to the Swedish throne, and Desiree became Queen Desideria. The Peru passed into the Danish royal family in 1869 when Princess Louise received the jewels as a wedding present. I'm not going to read it all, but here is the tiara down here, and you can see that it features leaf shapes, and it's set with diamonds interspersed with berry clusters composed of rubies. That really is stunning. And then we have over here key dates. Okay, then we're gonna learn more about the stone. So, ruby is the red variety of the mineral corundum, and its color seamlessly picks up where pink sapphire stops. Only darker stones are generally called rubies, but the distinction between ruby and pink sapphire can be a matter of opinion. Ruby is sometimes tinged with purple, and the most valued color is known as pigeon blood red. It has been mined from the gravels of Sri Lanka since at least the 8th century BCE. The subject of speculation from its earliest days. Ancient Hindu and Burmese miners thought pale pink sapphires were unripe rubies. That's pretty cool. Oh, and I forgot to look at the specifications box. So, like sapphire, the chemical name is aluminum oxide. Only comes in red. The structure is trigonal. It's hardness 9. Okay, and then we can look at some examples. So this is a raw ruby, a rough piece. So this is a gem quality crystal. It's got, you can see the horizontal striations that indicate changes in its growing environment. Ruby ranges from deep cochineal like this to pale rose red. And here it's showing how a crystal can taper. So this retains a bit of the matrix. And then down here it's showing crystals in rock. So these are cashmere ruby crystals. Okay, and it's usually, or very often, cut as a brilliant cut. And as sapphires, you can find star rubies. This says, ruby is the solitary and glowing eye which dragons and wyverns carry in the middle of their foreheads. That's from an 11th century bishop. And moving over here, you can see the stones set into jewelry. So this is the Carmen Lucia ruby at 23.10 carats. This is the largest faceted ruby in the United States National Gem Collection. It is also one of the finest large faceted Burmese rubies known. High-quality Burmese rubies larger than 20 carats are exceedingly rare. The stone was mined from the fabled Mogok region of Myanmar in the 1930s. So this is an example of the pigeon's blood red, and it's in a claw mount. Okay. I'm moving down here for this floral brooch. It's a spray of flowers set with rubies and sapphires and diamonds. And then down here, this is a dragon pendant. It says, in keeping with ancient traditions, this pendant takes the form of a dragon with a ruby for an eye. The setting consists of white, gold, and diamonds. And this is a gold ring. Set with 2 rows of rubies and 2 rows of diamonds with a large central diamond. And then here's a ruby set in a cluster setting. This is beautiful. It's got 46 round diamonds and 52 square cut rubies. And these 1930s earrings are gorgeous. They're set in a ribbon and circle motif. And down here it talks about red gemstones. What's in a name? The name ruby has been applied to a number of red gemstones throughout history, including garnets and spinels. Balas ruby was once another name for spinel. It was only through the development of chemistry and mineralogy in the 19th century that distinctions could scientifically be made. Today, many rubies are heat treated to improve their clarity or color. There are also synthetic rubies available, but their value is a tiny fraction of the real thing. And here's an emerald cut synthetic stone. Okay, that looks like Queen Elizabeth II. That is the Timur ruby. And again, I apologize for mispronouncing things. I'm reading this for the first time with you guys. So that's the ruby right there. 352.5 carats. Shown, oh, hold on. She said shown in this necklace setting. Never mind. Can't really see it. But we're going to read about it here. This is the necklace. Okay. So that necklace was made for Queen Victoria. It says, of the royal crown jewels of Britain, there is one exceptional gem that is not what it seems, an impostor that passed through the hands of the rich and powerful for hundreds of years. Until 1851, it was the largest known ruby in the world. But at the time of its documented discovery in 1612 and for hundreds of years afterward, no one was aware that the Timur ruby was not a ruby at all, but a spinel. It was only in the latter half of the 19th century that gemologists began to differentiate between the two. The mistake, however, was understandable. Rubies and spinels look almost identical and share a similar chemical composition and hardness. What separates them is the way in which they refract light. Rubies are doubly refractive. White spinels are singly refractive. So let's see. So despite its changed classification, the stone remains a highlight of the British crown jewels. It was named after the Mongol ruler who conquered Delhi in 1398 and who is believed to have taken the gem during the invasion. Returned to India in 1612, the gem was passed down through generations of Mughal emperors, each of whom inscribed their name on its surface. During Britain's annexation of India in the late 1840s, the Timur ruby and other spinels were shipped to England and presented to Queen Victoria, who openly admired the wonderful rubies. So, in the key dates here, the gem is displayed to the public with the rest of the crown jewels. So, that's where it is. And here's the Spinel page. Let's see. Okay, a couple pages here. So Spinel, the chemical name is magnesium aluminum oxide. It comes in red, yellow, orange, blue, green, black, and colorless. The structure is cubic and the hardness is 8. Gemstone spinel is a magnesium aluminum oxide, although the name is also given to a group of metal oxides, all of which have the same crystal structure. It is most familiar as a blue, purple, red, or pink gem, but it can occur in other colors. Its blood red variety is sometimes called ruby spinel. Another variety, star spinels, are so named because they display stars created by natural light reflection within the gem. Most spinel is recovered from stream gravels. The earliest gem dates back from 100 BCE and was discovered in a Buddhist tomb. So this shows the color range that they can come in, or some of the color range that it can come in. And some of the pieces here are water rounded and some have complete octahedral crystal forms. So this is one that is water rounded, and this one would be the octahedral crystal. Okay. So this rough piece is an aggregate of a number of small, gemmy red spinel crystals that have naturally bonded together. And then this one, magnetite, the distinctive dark-colored iron oxide magnetite, is one of the spinel group of materials, seen here as a cluster of black octahedra. That's interesting. I didn't know magnetite was a spinel. Here it talks about the Black Prince's ruby, a case of mistaken identity. The superb spinel known as the Black Prince's ruby was supposedly given to Edward, the Black Prince, the son of English King Edward III, by Peter the Cruel, King of Castile, after their joint victory at the Battle of Najera in 1367. Another English king, Henry V, wore it and nearly lost it at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, and it was later set in the British imperial state crown. It was thought to be a ruby until the 19th century. So, so this is a fancy cut, obviously a heart shape. It's one of the most challenging shapes for a gem cutter. This is an example of a brilliant cut. And then this one is round brilliant. Over here, Over here we have a Spinel ring. So this one is a mixed cut oval cushion red Spinel, surrounded by brilliant cut diamonds with baguette diamonds set into the shanks. Okay, so there we see. But that's stunning. Okay, and here this piece says Spinel Wonderland, showcasing the variety of hues found in Spinel gems. This gold ring is set with 14 spinels of different colors, cuts, and shapes to dazzling effect. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It reminds me of the colors of tourmaline. It's a little different, but beautiful. And this Paris Nouvelle Vague bracelet. This dramatic 18-karat gold bracelet by Cartier features spinels, diamonds, and pink and yellow sapphires, green garnets, amethysts, emeralds, and fire opals, all set into 252 cups carved from lapis lazuli. That is amazing. So the name Spinel comes from the Latin spinella, meaning little thorn, a reference to the sharp points of its crystals. And then the final thing on this page that we didn't look at was this purple Spinel ring. This one, it's an oval, brilliant cut. Okay, and now we get to look at Catherine the Great's Spinel. Okay, so this is a portrait of Catherine the Great, circa 1762, and her ruby, which is a Spinel, was 14th century, and it weighed 398.72 carats. So that's pretty amazing. And then here is a portrait of Tsar Nicholas II on his coronation day, wearing the Russian imperial crown with its Spinel. Catherine the Great's ruby is the glittering showpiece of the Russian imperial crown. It is one of the 7 historic stones, the rarest and most prized items in the royal collection of jewelry that was amassed by Peter the Great. This collection, now known as the Diamond Fund, was enlarged by later czars, but always belonged to the state. The ruby is actually a 398.72 carat red Spinel, the second largest in the world. At the time, Spinels were known as ballast rubies, taking their name from a famous mine in present-day Afghanistan. Russian envoy Nikolai Sapphire acquired the gemstone in China while conducting trade negotiations with the emperor in 1676. He reportedly paid a very pretty price of 2,672 rubies for it. But the Spinel already had a colorful history. It was found in the 14th century by Chun Li, a Chinese mercenary in Turkic conqueror Timur's army. He found it in the mines of Badakhshan, where he had been exiled after stealing gems in Samarkand, Samarkand. Chun Li tried to present it to the emperor in the hope of winning a pardon, but was murdered by a greedy palace guard, who in turn was executed when his crime was discovered. Catherine the Great commissioned the magnificent imperial crown for her 1762 coronation. It was fashioned by the court jeweler I'm going to say Jeremy Pawsey. I'm sure that's not correct, but the last name is spelled P-A-U-Z-I-E, who removed the Spinel from an earlier crown and added other jewels from the royal collection. It was worn by Catherine's successors. The crown was concealed from view after the Revolution. Here's a little quote. "The Spinel must have been an exceedingly unlucky stone." That's by Diane Morgan, who is an author. And here is the crown showing the Spinel. And that thing has 4,936 diamonds and 73 pearls. So that is amazing. So over here are the key dates. And in the 1990s, after the fall of communism, the crown is placed on display at the Kremlin Armory Museum. Let's see. Okay, so that's all I wanted to look at today. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying this. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And let me know how I'm doing. I will be back next time. We will start with chrysoberyl, of which alexandrite is one. So look forward to that. Okay, thank you. Bye.